Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Sway Tea. Candace Kita, and I'm coming to you live. That's right, I'm coming to you live from almost sunny California, and I can't really say that it's sunny because it's Thursday morning at about 6. Awesome guest today. I have such a special guest, so I'd love to hear from you guys. And Disney that you can find here right on the Amazon platform. I'd love for you guys to chat with her. I'm going to introduce everybody to TV editor of IndieWire.
Good. How are you?
Oh, awesome out there, you guys. So, Kristen, first off, what do?
Yeah, so I am the TV editor at IndieWire, which is a huge global film and TV and the different machinations of the entertainment industry. And I write specifically stuff that promotes diversity spotlight. And at the same time, I also get to talk about fun stuff like classic. So it's pretty awesome to get to look at television from a variety. What I spend my time doing with detention.
Oh, I love it. Now, you, in addition to being at Indie, job, in my opinion,
Oh my gosh. I don't think I can say in utero. It started when I was very small, The Little Mermaid, and to the point that I memorized it, and I would recreate anything. Of course, I'm still so it was
awesome.
a pretty and ever since
You like it so much, as I know you like the.
specifically, she's like, God, it's it just dates her in a way that she's not cool with. But a lot of it is that emphasis, at least the emphasis on hand drawn animation of the cap system, which was the early utilization of behind my computer is the hand drawing. See the brush strokes in a world with CG animation style being what it is now. So that's what really captures me. But then when you have the park side of it, for me, I think to me is even more special because
Right, right. When was the.
we went to Disneyland the before times. I was 18 and got a real job. I was like, I can buy an annual pass and I can plan my vacations and I can, ubiquitous company there. I know when but they don't have a Mr. Toad. I think they turned it into California. Anymore. So that financial sense to have the cinema now there's a head animatronic into an actual female pirate, so she's part of the group, and I thought that was really inventive and really fun. And now we're seeing there's rumors, or I think it's still going forward, that Splash Mountain is going to be turned from Song of the South to Princess and the Frog, and we're seeing the Jungle Cruise lose some of their African natives headhunter characters into something that's a bit more with the times. And I know that there's a lot of feelings of this is PC culture, why can't we just have the things that we had? And I'm definitely for change when it is utilized for that, because I think that it's always important to remember Walt Disney created this in the 1950s. So much of how we see people of color, how we see women have changed, obviously. That it would be ridiculous to keep Disneyland in amber. I think it would be less beloved if it stayed the same as this. As much as I love the concept of like seeing pictures from the 50s and seeing how people would get dressed up for a day at Disneyland, I think that some of those rides, the timelessness is because there's room to acknowledge the dated aspects of it. I tend to have more of an issue of changing stuff to reflect that IP, like I talked about, like adding Johnny Depp into the Pirates of the Caribbean because of the success of the movies, or adding Disney animated characters to It's a Small World. I begrudgingly accept them, and I'm like, I don't understand the point other than like, remember this Disney thing also makes us money. It feels more like a cash grab than some of the changes where it's obviously because we have to update with the times. That I get. So I'm of dueling minds about it.
Well, what about like every year the Haunted Mansion turns into Nightmare Before Christmas, but then it goes
Mhm.
back? How do you feel about those type of cyclical changes?
I'm a fan. I love, they don't do it in Disneyland anymore, but I liked the Jingle Cruise that they did very briefly. I'm a huge fan of Small World Holiday. I think it's beautiful when they do that. And Haunted Mansion, it's funny because before I was able to go to Disneyland, living here in LA, I would tend to plan my trips around Christmas because I love the holiday elements of it. And so for about 7 or 8 years, the only version of the Haunted Mansion I ever got to see was the
Oh,
holiday version. So the first time I moved down here and I got to see the regular version after so long, it was such a jarring change because all I could see was Jack Skellington and all of the characters from The Nightmare Before Christmas. But I love both versions. I think it's a great way to change it for the season and give people that desire to come back. I mean, obviously me, as somebody who's like committed to wanting to see the Haunted Mansion when it's the regular time versus the holiday, it's a great way to keep people coming back and mix it up.
good morning, Sammy. Sammy's saying hi to you, Kristen. Good morning, Sammy. How are you? As you know, we're talking to Kristen Lopez from IndieWire, and we're talking all things Disney today. All the awesome movies, DVDs, box sets, memorabilia, you name it. And, in short order, we're going to be showing some very special items that you can get right here at Disney. Right now, we're talking to Kristen about just her love of all things Disney. What is, Sammy said she's doing okay. Sammy, have you ever been to Disneyland? You want to ask Kristen a question about her affinity for Disneyland and Disney. She's very, very knowledgeable, has been a long time, lifelong Disney fan. Kristen, what is your favorite ride at Disneyland? Like you said, you've been in Disney parks on the East Coast. What is your favorite ride and why?
Oh my gosh, it's so tough. It's like asking me to choose between my favorite pet. I'm a big Haunted Mansion fan. I think I love the spooky qualities of it, and I especially love the history of it. The amazing Disney Gallery was doing, I think last year, maybe the year before, where they were showing old ex Atencio drawings of what the Haunted Mansion started out as and the ways that it changed. And I think that some of that art is just utterly beautiful. That I get emotional kind of looking at certain art from that time period. But I think it's also great to look at some of the history from the Haunted Mansion, and that, at some brief point in the 80s, they actually had actors in the ride jumping out at people in the cars.
I didn't know that.
It was a very brief run because supposedly there was a liability issue, and it was also causing people to get like very scared to the point that they feared that somebody would get
jump out at them.
So they didn't do it for very long, but I love little things like that, and looking at the Pepper's ghost effect when it's the ballroom sequence. And if you notice, there's actually a very obvious spider that is included in the glass that separates the audience from the ballroom sequence, and that's actually to cover a bullet hole because somebody had a gun on the ride and shot at the glass, so they covered it up. So it's very obvious. If you're looking for it, you can see it. But I love little things like that, those little stories that are connected with the ride, and I think that just enhances my adoration for it.
Oh, that's funny. Now, do you collect any type of Disney memorabilia or favorite? Like, I know people go through the park. I had a friend of mine, and we went through the park, and she was looking at all the pins. Is there anything in certain that you love to collect?
Oh my gosh, I am a collector of far too many Disney things. Shirts are a big thing. Shirts and sweatshirts. I'm a big fan of the ears. Obviously, I had way too many to choose from for this. I'm a big fan of the artwork. I'm fortunate to live down the street from the Disney Studios, actually, and few times that there have been events for my day job, you get to go into the studio commissary and they have a little shop. So I've been fortunate to buy some beautiful artwork that I have hanging up on my wall. I'm a big fan of the movie Up. So if it's an Up themed thing, I have artwork from that. I just bought a little countdown calendar that's Up themed that counts down to Christmas and my birthday.
Oh, how cute.
It's adorable. I love it. And I'm a big pin person. But now I don't get to rock my lanyard because of COVID, but I'm a huge pin person. princess stuff if it's Little Mermaid themed. I think the last pin I bought from Disneyland was in February of last year. They were doing a subset of pins that were themed to Disney princess crowns that were themed to each princess. And I bought the Little Mermaid one, which looks like it's got a clamshell at the top and the little diamonds. It's the cutest thing. So that tends to get me the most. Or I tend to go for the movies or the rides that I'm really passionate about, and then collect around those things.
Oh, well, you just brought up a good point because so many girls love the Disney princesses. Why do you think that they resonate so well with so many young girls and women?
I think the princesses are a controversial figure now because there is this concept of, looking back with modern eyes to whether they're feminist or not. And I think, that's a valid critique. There's been books written about the subject. And for me, I think every girl is different in terms of how they identify and with which princess they identify with. For me, I'm a big Ariel fan, and I think a lot of that subconsciously has to do with growing up as a disabled girl. And I couldn't do a lot of activities, but I could swim, and Ariel is very defiant and very rebellious, and wants to obviously do things that are limited because of the fact that she's a mermaid. So I think I really identified on a deeper level because of that. But I think, even more, the princesses today, Anna and Elsa from Frozen, I think are really great foundations for women to identify the things that they like about themselves. And they're a great springboard. I mean, I don't think that they're the end all be all in terms of like, this is the most feminist character ever. But I think for a lot of young women, they are a good foundation into coming up with who they are, So, I have elements of Merida, but then I also don't agree with Merida on this. And then you can use that as, kind of a springboard to have those discussions about identity and what type of woman you want to be. So I think for a lot of young women, the Disney princesses are a start. That's their foundation that eventually turns them into, the woman that they become. And that doesn't mean that they become, 100% a Disney princess, but they can take elements of it and use that to create a solid base, if that makes sense.
No, it really does. And do you think that recently, as of the recent, I would say 2 decades, the Disney princesses have taken more of a feminist a take on life? Because I noticed with Beauty and the Beast, Belle was one that was always saying that she was, she was a reader. She wasn't interested in Gaston. She would rather, she said there was more than this small provincial life, and she was seeking outside to find something else, more so than maybe some of the earlier ones like Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. They were really germane to their times. I mean, don't you think now there's more of a feminist element that's being brought into these characters?
Oh, it's actually really ironic because I feel like as Disney is revisiting a lot of these movies, there is this desire or there's this belief from them that these characters weren't perfect and so we have to improve them. And I think Belle is a perfect example because Beauty and the Beast, the animated version at least, is a really great example of Disney creating a woman that is relevant not just to the 1990s, but even to today. I mean, you're totally right that she wants to read. She wants to find a man that is her equal, who gives her a library, which is the best thing ever. Watching the live action version that came out just a couple of years ago, there was a lot of criticism about the fact that the movie tries far too hard to say we've improved her, we've made her, we see Emma Watson's take on Belle teaching other young girls to read. She invents the washing machine. It just becomes a little overbearing. Like, she was great to begin with, you don't have to enhance on that. And I think that definitely as the 80s and 90s be went into being. I mean, Disney had to grow with the times, and they did a really effective job. Princess Jasmine is also a great example in terms of a woman of color wanting to find a person that again is her equal. Whereas in the modern remake that they did just a couple of years ago, now she has aspirations of being sultan, which is interesting, but the movie doesn't end any differently, so it does kind of leave that question of like, well, then what's the point? So I know when people are talking about you know criticizing the movies of that time period, oh, they weren't great, I have to remind them, they're still really, really timely. And I think that if anything, revisiting them now, it almost feels like there is this belief that Disney has to apologize for the flaws of that time period, and that's not necessarily the case. I think that they're really effective in a very short runtime. I think that's important too. So a lot of these Disney animated films are not very long, but they do create a fully fleshed out character in that time period that you don't need to give a 2-hour movie to in some cases.
No, absolutely. Stephen Boots, good morning. How are you? Is saying hello to us. And as you know, we're talking to Kristen Lopez from IndieWire. We're talking all things Disney today. And, actually, you bring up a really good point, talking about how characters at that time were germane to the time. Because I know that doesn't Song of the South now have a disclaimer on it?
Song of the South has never actually been released in the US, I think in the last like 30, 40 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is not. The only way you can get it is less than legit overseas copies. I know that I've gone to like state fairs that have like traveling DVD salesmen that have had copies from, I think, like Europe, but I've never actually seen it. You can also find it on YouTube, but it's a movie that's never gotten an official release because of the controversy inherent in it. And there's been a lot of discussion about whether it's just worth it to release it so that people don't feel that it's this forbidden movie that they have to, purchase through illegal means. And that's a conversation for a whole separate time. But there are on Disney Plus sensitivity
disclaimers,
warnings, disclaimers, yeah, sensitivity disclaimers that are emphasizing, this is a short that came from a different time, you should be aware of that, and I think in some cases that's really necessary. I've seen several of the Disney animated shorts from World War II, and they're definitely racist in
are they? I haven't seen them.
Yeah, there's several that are incredibly stereotypical in their presentation of Japanese characters.
Yeah, anti-Asian propaganda, absolutely.
Exactly. So they definitely need to have some announcement that like this was 1945. That doesn't make it right, but that was what these animators at the time were doing. I definitely think it's necessary. And they're not taking these shorts off. They're just letting that you might have to have some harsh discussions with your kids after you watch them, which that's worth having a discussion sometimes.
Absolutely. I think sometimes it's important to look back in history, to dare repeat the events of the past. We really need to look back at it and understand, what was not right at the time.
Exactly.
So I think it is very valid, like you said, to perhaps hold on to those for a reason and have a discussion with your kids. What do you think of, because I know so many of the Disney princesses have also been criticized because of the way they look. What do you think of the body physiognomy of like Moana? Because I think that they really are looking now at not making the princesses have a certain specific look. And Shrek was another good example too, where they are looking beyond that, where they just had this stereotypical blonde-headed princess with an 18-inch waist, and they were actually saying that if they took the proportions of a Disney princess and made them real life, that somebody would like literally have an 11-inch waist. It's humanly impossible.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago when Frozen came out, somebody did an animation that showed that I think like women in Disney films only have the same 5 facial features, big eyes, small nose. And those are definitely, again, valid criticisms. In college, I actually wrote a paper about sexualization through Princess Jasmine's costuming and othering
Uh-huh.
of her identity. And, there's definitely ways you can look at the way that the Disney princesses have been clothed throughout the years and the way they've been dressed. I think, in fact, at the Disney parks, Princess Jasmine wears a more traditional outfit that is not, a sexualized bare midriff top. I think they could go a little further, though. I always advocate for more disability inclusion, and I keep saying, where is my disabled Disney princess? Um, you know,
Absolutely.
Ariel is the only thing passing, not that she's disabled, but she's a mermaid who can't walk on land. So that's really the closest we've ever come. But I think it is definitely worth it for Disney to explore body image, because so many young women use Disney films as their first look at being a woman and what femininity looks like. That I think it would be awesome to see all body types, all groups represented there.
Absolutely, because I think when they first started out, in the was it in the 30s with Snow
Yeah.
White? At the time, every Disney princess had a certain look: the pointed nose, the button nose, the pointed chin,
Yeah.
an 18-inch waist, a high feminine voice. And now we're looking at least Disney princesses of color. I remember when Mulan came out, I was so surprised, but also thinking Mulan wouldn't have come out in 1950. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, in Snow White too, you also are looking at Snow White looks like, I know that the comparisons always abound to Betty Boop, but she looks like a Cupid doll, very precious moments. And that also plays into her appearance. Mulan, I definitely think was great in 95 in terms of, again, creating a character that is a Asian woman and is a warrior. And you do have to look at how in the 1950s, you're looking at Sleeping Beauty, Princess Aurora, and she's very stock, and there's not a whole lot of depth to her. But you're totally right. We would not get Mulan in the 1950s. I mean, I don't think we get Anna and Elsa the way they are in the 1950s. I think there'd be more competition or something between them if it was released at that time.
absolutely. Gina Capone, hi. Love the Disney ears, ladies. Thank you. And Gina, we are doing a Disney day with you. I want to let you know that. Gina is a huge Disney fan. Thank you so much for coming in. And we're talking to Kristen Lopez today, who is a television editor at IndieWire. We're talking all things Disney. Gina, put in your favorite Disney movie because we'd love to see it. How are you girls doing this morning? Kristen, are those Haunted Mansion ears?
They are Haunted Mansion ears. They actually glow in the dark too, which was not completely the reason I bought them, but it helped. So yeah, these are. I don't know if they make them anymore at the Disneyland Resort, but they're pretty awesome. I love them.
So do they become, I guess after they stop making them, they become a collector's edition, right?
I think so. Yeah, I know that they have different styles of Haunted Mansion ears. They have some that look like the maid's outfit, so they're satiny. I know they have ones that are more fuzzy, like the wallpaper. But I don't know if they still are making them with the busts that glow in the dark. Somebody else can tell me if that's still something available.
Gina, do you know too? Gina says, my favorite Disney movie is Beauty and the Beast and Moana. Oh, I love Beauty and the Beast too. And Kristen was just talking about Beauty and the Beast. Good morning, Stephen. How are you? Thank you so much for joining in today. Like I said, today we have Kristen Lopez. She is one of the television editors for IndieWire. We're talking all things Disney, which I know you guys would love. Gina, do you have? Kristen. Good morning, Johnny. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. You know what? Disney aficionado, Disney fan, knows all things Disney. So you guys, if you have any questions, favorite ride. Gina, what is your favorite ride at Disneyland? Because products that you can get right here. So exciting. Anyways, Kristen, I have a question. You love the Disney movies. Traditional Minnie with the dots, goals, pink castle ear. Wow. Oh my goodness, Gina. Kristen, I've got to ask you this.
Ted, I have
Oh, Johnny says, I like Beauty and the Beast original. Johnny, why do you like Beauty and the Beast original versus the live action version that came out recently? And then Gina says, Candace, you asked me a question, but I didn't catch it. Oh, I have Christmas ears that are plaid. And then, Gina says, Johnny, me too. So she loves Beauty and the Beast original. Why do you guys like the original versus the live action? And the question that I asked you, Gina, I think I already know the answer. What was your favorite ride? And Johnny, what was your favorite ride? So, as like I said, you guys were talking to Kristen Lopez. Steven says, Kristen, did you ever see Disney's animated Robin Hood?
I have. Yeah, I actually did a couple years ago. I did a project for a blog I had started where my goal was to watch every Disney animated feature in chronological order and review them. And I did. And Robin Hood was one that I had seen as a child and I was not big on it. And it's still not my favorite. I know I have a lot of friends that have really deep memories with that movie. They love it so much. But it's definitely a unique look. I think it probably is one of the better Robin Hoods we've gotten in the grand scheme of the story. But I don't have as much of a deep, complex love for it as most people. All animal based movie like old episodes of the Mickey Mouse Club or Zorro
Oh,
or Davy Crockett. And so I would watch these on
something like that today with the
showing. They're still not afraid of showing Animal World. So sometimes those animals don't make it. And I think as a kid, I tended to, again, avoid those things doing them. I love that there's still.
Gina said she doesn't know what that is. Some cougar, and they have these old picture perfect. I can think of Duck from his mom, Bambi when the mother is shot, and then one of your favorite movies, Kristen. And what do you guys think about? I said when I saw that movie once.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a before and after Pixar quality to that. The realities of the world, but they also did have real world issues. Dumbo has that separation between mother and child, and it also which is controversial. But they've always perfectly, I think, utilized emotion and have really a piece of animation. I don't know anybody that can watch the first 10 minutes of Up without sobbing their eyes out.
Right.
And that definitely colors the Disney and Pixar to it to really emphasize the huge emotions of life.
Sequence, the reason why I cannot see up. Guys, think about, because I think you were talking about life. King is like it better shows than any.
Disney did kind of get in trouble for with Disney. The first time you saw Bambi's mom die, and the first realization that parents can die on you. I think the moment for any child to really, but The Lion King is a horrific event because, by the end of them over his grief. And I think Disney.
The same thing. What is your most emotional seminal moment movie? Where's, like I said, like you said, the way that these animators were able to hand draw, and then the voice actors were able to emote and to bring such emotion. It's so painful. You guys, I don't know why I'm doing this. Anyways, let me know. I'm so curious. What was yours? And what was yours, Kristen?
I think there's an emotional moment that kind of gets me in the feels, and then there's a moment of just skillful filmmaking. And I don't think the Disney animated films get a lot of love for their filmmaking techniques. For me, I think the emotional gut punch is that first 10 minutes of Up, as we see Carl and Ellie. But I think it's definitely a punch in the gut. But for me, I'm always kind of a sobbing mess at the end of Up. As Carl's looking through the adventure book and realizing that his wife planned for her eventual passing and didn't want him to waste his life. So you really do feel that, that because it's so relatable, to you. For me, there's also a moment in Peter Pan, which Peter Pan is a movie that has a lot of flaws to it. But I love that final image of the pirate ship going through the sky, and again that sense of wonder. I think that's the power of Disney, is that even as adults, as grown-ups, you can still find the wonderment in life. And I think that that's a thing that Pixar is has also tried to emulate. You know, they've said that they don't make movies just for kids, they make movies for kids and also for adults, and you get two different experiences depending on what age you are. And I think that a lot of the early Disney movies were like that.
Absolutely. And you know, Kristen, oh, Gina said there was always some kind of death in a Disney movie. Yes, but I think it gives it brevity and it gives it weight and poignancy to have that in there. You know, Kristen said the movie that most resonated with her was Little Mermaid. Out there, you guys, let me know, what is the movie that has most resonated with you, a Disney movie, on a personal basis, and why? And for those of you who are just joining in, we have Kristen Lopez, and she's a TV editor here at IndieWire. We're talking all things Disney today. So, Kristen, for those of you who just joined us, what was your a movie that most resonated with you, and why?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think that The Little Mermaid is always the one that resonates with me. Just because of how personal it feels to me. You know, it feels like a movie that was made for me, even though I know that it was not. So that's one that always sticks with me.
Right. If you guys out there, you know, let us know what movie really resonates with you, and why. I would say, as far as music is concerned, because I know like music really resonates with me as well and brings back a wave of emotions. What music from what ride or show, like you said, you listen to it because you're not able to go to Disneyland now, which one resonates with you and brings back a flood of memories?
You know, I'm a big fan of the Fantasyland music loop, and a lot of the ride music from that time. You know, I think because it emulates an old, you know, European village. The stuff from the dark rides like Alice in Wonderland and Pinocchio. You know, I can listen to that loop, and I can feel like I'm standing right there next to the carousel, you know, with a Mickey pretzel in my hand. It just immediately takes me back.
Ah, Disney says, Stephen says, Disney is good for drama, comedy, and life. I think, Stephen, you summed it up in one sentence, basically. That's really what it is. What movie resonates most with you, Stephen, and why? And Gina, what movie is the most important to you, and why on an emotional level? You know, it's funny because you brought up, you know, the dark and every aspect of the music. What do you think, Kristen, of Disney villains? Because to me, that's my favorite thing. I heard that Disney was at one time thinking of creating Dark World, and instead they do Star Wars Land. And I'm like, but why do you think people root for the Disney villain, and how do you think Disney villains? What do you think of their portrayal in the Disney movies and Disney shows?
You know, I still wish they would do a villain's world in some way, because I would be so happy. You know, I think some of the most beloved characters are the villains because they're showy and they're flamboyant. You know, Disney's made some of the most fantastic heroes, but they've also made some equally fantastic villains. You know, with the voice cast to match. I mean, I think one of the first villains that you know, I'm an old movie girl, so I love that in Jungle Book, Shere Khan, the tiger, is voiced by George Sanders, who has one of the great voices. You know, for me, my favorite villains are the 1-2 punch of Ursula and Scar from The Little Mermaid and The Lion King, respectively. I mean, what Pat Carroll does as Ursula with her voice work is so fantastic. The character was modeled on the actor Divine, and she's got one of the best villain songs. That is incredibly hard to sing, but it's fantastic. And I love her so much. You know, and of course Scar in The Lion King, voiced by Jeremy Irons, who's one of my favorite performers of all time, is just again a very over the top villain, but is so staked in reality and, you know, compelled by jealousy and you know, greed and selfishness. It's just it's a fantastic performance. And a villain that I always throw out that does not get nearly enough appreciation is Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, who, that's a movie that is incredibly just out of Disney's wheelhouse for on a variety of different levels. But Frollo is a character that is, a man of God who is driven by lust, and there's a whole song about, that is incredibly adult and is shocking that it's in a Disney movie. So I think some of those villains really do enhance a feature. I mean, even a bad Disney movie can have a great villain.
Oh, absolutely. Rosalinda, good morning. Happy Thursday. Candace and Kristen just stopped by. Good morning. How are you? We're talking all things Disney today. If you have any questions or you want to make a Disney comment, please do. Because I think you go to Disneyland, right? And then Johnny, if you don't want to say what your favorite movie is, what is your favorite Disney villain? Love to hear that. Gina says, Frozen resonates with me on many different levels. I lost both of my parents, had issues with my sister, so it always makes me feel emotional. Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely. Steven says, Cruella de Vil. Oh, Cruella de Vil in 101 Dalmatians. Oh, that's awesome. Gina, who's your favorite? And Rosalinda, who's your favorite Disney villain? Because I'd love to hear, we'd both love to hear favorite Disney villains for sure. And, Gina brings up a good point, because I think that Frozen, doesn't Frozen have the loss of both parents too, and the two sisters are there dealing with themselves?
Yeah, Disney movies, because so many of them are based on fairy tales or popular literature, do always tend to have the loss of a parent. Starting with Snow White, the fact that the queen is her evil stepmother. Cinderella's the same way. I think Tarzan was one of the first that I can remember where both parents are lost. So yeah, I mean, Frozen's definitely in that grand tradition of parent loss that Disney has cultivated.
Absolutely. And Steven says Cruella de Vil and 101 Dalmatians, the animated film, was interesting. Yes, it really was. And, bringing up, what was the other film that you were just mentioning? Oh, it was Hunchback. What do you think about that? Because I felt like it also had a very adult element in that movie. The first time I saw it, I saw the theater, and I was actually kind of shocked that they would do that. The whole movie seemed more geared towards adults than it did children.
Well, and that was intentional. Michael Eisner, who was the head of Disney at the time, really did want this to be a big Oscar piece for them to possibly get a Best Picture nomination. So he definitely emphasized it as not as being a movie that was aimed at children, but that was supposed to have a more grandiose intent. The hope was to capture kind of what Beauty and the Beast had done in terms of getting recognition from the Academy. That didn't necessarily go as he had planned. It's a movie that's grown on me in a lot of ways. The intentions,
I agree.
The ambition, you can see the ambition. It's cinematic. It's got some beautiful music, and again, Frollo is a villain for the ages, but it's also very hard to sit through, especially for me as a disabled person, because Quasimodo as a character does really hew to a lot of negative disability stereotypes in terms of being childlike and kind of controlled by outside influences. And spoiler alert, does not get the girl at the end. The
other guy.
The two beautiful able-bodied people get together at the end, even though it's obvious that Quasimodo and the girl Esmeralda should get together. I know that's not how it is in the original book or the original movies, but you still want that. They tried to rectify that with a direct-to-DVD sequel, but it just didn't work out. So it's a very dated depiction of disability, but I think in terms of scope, I mean, it's definitely one of Disney's most ambitious films.
Absolutely. Steven says Cruella de Vil in 101 Dalmatians was interesting. Gina said the best villain is Scar. And that's what Kristen agrees with. And Johnny says Gaston, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King. Oh, the hyenas. Oh, that's so funny. And wasn't there one funny hyena There was one goofy hyena. Johnny, who was that? And Steven says, yes, Scar does stand out. You are right. And a lot of it is the voicing, like you said,
Yeah.
of Scar. And his voice is so, Jeremy Irons, like you said, can take it. So yeah, I totally agree. Another thing about Hunchback I noticed is that the overall theme in that movie, I left kind of being, not knowing what to think of it. I was kind of perplexed. The overall theme is dark. I mean,
yeah, it's definitely a movie that is about faith and identity and so many different things that I think it really does go over children's heads.
Mhm.
And I think parents at the time were relatively shocked that this was a movie that, had some humorous asides, but really was a darker feature.
Ow. It was very dark, and Scar is witty and funny too, is what Gina says. And Steven says the way some of the characters, the way they were drawn as well. Steven, you bring up a good point, because I think another reason why Hunchback is so dark is the way that the animators painted it and drew it. The color combinations, the color schemes that they chose were very different than something like, for example, Fantasia. The color scheme is so completely different that almost shocks you too, because the entire movie is dark.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's supposed to, they really wanted it to mimic the real Notre Dame Cathedral in France. And it was a movie, I think, that a lot of people are also torn by the tone, because it's a very serious movie, but then you also have these three gargoyles that make, fart jokes and are meant to be comedic. And I think that it's obvious that, and there's a lot of really convoluted backstory and history to the making of this movie, that the directors and the screenwriter were not 100% certain how to balance the tones. They would get notes that says it's not kid friendly enough, and then they would get notes that say what's too silly. So it was really a movie that was impossible to please everybody.
Right. And what do you guys think about it? Have you seen Hunchback of Notre Dame? What do you think? I remember when it first came out, the first thing I thought was, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and they're going to turn it into a Disney movie starring Demi Moore. What?
Yep.
That in and of itself was so strange. Like, I didn't see how they, who thunk that,
Exactly. Demi Moore playing Esmeralda, who does a literal pole dance at one point in the movie. And I think that that's the thing that, a lot of people who are old school fans of the older animation really do miss, because a lot of the movies now are packaged where it's a voice performance that's written for an A-list star first, as opposed to a character. So now you're not seeing a voice performer like Tony Jay, who was the voice of Frollo, who was a prolific voice actor and did a lot of voice work, or many of the unnamed voice actors from the original films of the 1950s and 1940s. Now it's Miley Cyrus, now it's Ewan McGregor. You have big names in relatively minor performances where you're just like, I don't know who's voicing that, but I know it's an A-list star. And there is there are schools of thought that they miss hiring a professional voice actor as opposed to getting a big star to just lend a voice.
Like lending a voice, i.e. lending a name.
Exactly.
Gina says, I think Disney movies are really for adults, not kids. Steven says the animated characters were real, drawn the way. So I think I agree with you guys that I think some are for adults. And I mean, what did you think of the original, Kristen? And you guys out there too, what did you think of the original Fantasia? That was very different for the time too.
Oh yeah, Fantasia was considered Disney's folly, much in the same way that Snow White was. But where Snow White was definitely a narrative, Fantasia is an anthology set to music, and it's a movie that the first film I think has grown on me as this ambitious piece of filmmaking that has some really beautiful animation sequences. Like the night on Bald Mountain is just utterly terrifying and emotionally charged. But it is showing kind of the desire that Disney had to create movies that were utilizing animation in different ways that weren't necessarily aimed at kids, but were using the animated medium to tell a story. And if it got kids, great. If it got adults, great. And it didn't necessarily work out for him. They did try it again in the 2000s with Fantasia 2000, and that also did not work. But they're really interesting examples of what the studio was hoping to push forward with animation.
Do you think that because my favorite sequence actually is the Night on Bald Mountain sequence at the end of Fantasia. Do you think that that was the inspiration for the end of Fantasmic, the show, the live action show?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Absolutely. Gina says, I think Disney, okay. Steven said, the animated characters were really drawn the way they were like Little Mermaid and Frozen, etc., etc. He never saw Fantasia. Highly recommend you to see that. It's a classic. Gina says, Fantasia is my least favorite Disney movie. Oh my gosh. Gina, why? Why is it your least favorite? Right, we're just telling Stephen to watch it. What did you think of Fantasia, the old classic versus the new one that came out a few years ago? Kristen and you guys out there. Gina, did you see the other one too? And Kristen, what do you think?
Fantasia is a movie people either love or hate. There is no middle ground. The Fantasia 2001, it's definitely, again, showing the problems of the medium of blending animation with the musical accompaniment. I think, though, where the 1940s version had stronger pieces, because you have the Sorcerer's Apprentice, you have Night on Bald Mountain. It's if you see that movie, you can remember the different stories that are being told. Whereas Fantasia 2000, the stories just weren't that strong. The music was not that great. There's a sequence that they're set to pomp and circumstance that just doesn't really work. So it's a question of telling a good story, and I don't think Fantasia 2000 tells that great a story.
Right, right. Well, this is what Gina said too. Fantasia is my least favorite Disney movie. I know I'm out of the norm. And as to why, she goes, I don't know. I'm just not into it. I think that's really a good approximation for a lot of people is they just can't, it's hard to figure out. I noticed when I saw it, the first thing I started to perk up, honestly, at was kind of like the Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker mushroom sequence with the mushrooms are dancing with the little red mushroom caps on. Then you start to perk up and it starts to crescendo going. And then Night on Bald Mountain, of course, is the absolute the apex of that movie. But it takes a long time to get there.
Yeah.
And you look at a lot of movies now. What do you think? But you guys out there and Kristen, movies back then had time to kind of develop and work their way up versus movies now where with CGI, like the movie Bolt, it opens up with a huge, fast zoom sequence where there's so much going on so quick. And I wonder if just that our minds and visually we've changed so much with, CGI and just even with the advent, I would say, of MTV, when they started making music videos and everything was cut so quick, then commercials began to be cut so quick. And now our mind doesn't accept things that are slow to bruise, so to speak. Do you think that's a difference between the older movies and some of these new movies that we see today from Disney?
Oh, definitely. I think that there is this reliance on action. I mean, Disney right now is knee deep in creating Marvel movies, as we've seen, which are all action based. So there is definitely a knowledge that people have shorter attention spans. And there's also a lot of content out there. So you have to find something that's going to grab somebody immediately and keep them engaged. But I think WandaVision, it was a good example of showcasing that audiences didn't necessarily need that in order to be sustained. I mean, that show became appointment TV for people. They were watching it, live as soon as it dropped. So I would love to see Disney try to do away with some of the more action based. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. right away. They just put out Raya and the Last Dragon, which is similarly an action adventure story. But who knows? You know, they Pixar has a movie Luca coming out this year that is a movie about a boy and his sea monster best friend. So maybe
Oh,
that will be a more quiet, contemplative film like the films of the past.
what do you guys think out there of all the Marvel Universe movies that you can find right here on Amazon? And we're going to be talking about some of these movies shortly because, you know, they are action based. And then what did you think, Kristen and everybody out there? What did you think of WandaVision? Because, you know, you have the end game, right? And then after that, WandaVision, which was so emotional, there were these scenes between Wanda and Vision that were so plot driven, story driven, emotion driven, which I thought was so counter to the movies. Is it because you had an entire season to build that up versus one movie where you don't have a lot of time?
I think it's both. You know, there's a lot of people that were saying that WandaVision would have benefited more from being a film. But I think that really, you know, it's a question of just the medium that you think that the story is working for. And I think with a Disney animated feature, you know, some of those have lent themselves to television shows. You know, Hercules, Aladdin did have The Little Mermaid did have television shows after the movies had set things up, and there's a way you can kind of put those characters into any adventure and tell something. But I think with something like WandaVision, you really needed that time to process the different emotions, the different usage of television. You know, it's a series that might have been light on deep connections to the Marvel universe, but I think that's what a lot of people love, because it's often hard to get into Marvel if you don't start from the beginning. You know, people feel like you have to start with the beginning of that series. And I think people really gravitated to WandaVision because you didn't need to be an expert. You needed to just know where these characters had started in terms of their relationship and that it was over, and go from there.
That's a very good point. Amazon customer, thank you so much for following. And for those of you who are just joining us, we're here with Kristen Lopez. She is a television editor for IndieWire. We're talking all things Disney today, and we're having so much fun doing it. If you guys want to leave us a question or a comment, a Disney suggestion, please do. We would love to hear from you. Oh, yeah. Okay. What do you guys think? Thank you, Gina. What did you guys think of WandaVision? Because she said in big letters, Loved. Loved WandaVision. And why? Why did you love it? What I liked about it is it did have that human emotional element to it. It wasn't all just action. And it brings up a bigger point of all of these Disney movies. I think it is they're emotion driven, even though there is action, that they are riding on the wave of emotion, and they take you on this emotional journey. In the same way, and do you agree with me, Gina, Stephen, Kristen, out there, that when you go to the Disney parks, I feel like I'm taken on an emotional journey, either through the rides or just the joy of being there. Oh, Gina said, I like the Marvel Universe. And Gina says, we are huge Marvel fans in my house. I don't know much about Marvel. Is it true what Kristen said, that you really have to start at the beginning? I just turned on WandaVision. I didn't even know what WandaVision was, to be honest. And I couldn't understand why everything was in black and white. And I almost stopped watching it. And then I ran into somebody who said that you should continue because after episode 3, it dramatically changes. So I thought we would do that. And I was like, I'll just give it that. But so do you feel like you have to start at the beginning to understand the Marvel Universe, all of which these movies are found here on Amazon and Amazon Prime? And my question to you was about that. Do you feel like you're taken on an emotional journey, Kristen, and you guys out there, when you go to one of these parks?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think that you're not just taking on a journey through the story of the ride, but I think you're also bringing up, you know, your own past experiences at Disneyland, you know, with your family, with your friends. There is a deeply personal connection, I think, for anybody that has Disneyland in their life. So I think when you're experiencing a ride, you're not just experiencing the ride itself, but the previous times you've ridden this ride, you know, and who were you with? What was the situation? So I think everything has an additional layer of story.
Do you guys feel the same way with what Kristen just said? Do you agree? Like when you go to the parks, any park, you reminisce and it brings back and evokes these memories of your personal experiences being in the parks, aside from just the rides. Like you said, who were you with? Were you with family? Were you with friends? Were you with a significant other? Were you with people that are no longer around? Stephen never saw WandaVision. Oh my gosh, Stephen, you got to see that. Seriously. Gina says, if you didn't watch any of the Marvel movies, you won't understand WandaVision. Stephen says, in a way, you have to start. I got it. But I didn't understand the whole thing about Vision being dead. I mean, none of that made sense to me. I didn't know what was going on. So maybe you guys are right. Let me know what you think about how the parks evoke past memories. Especially, Kristen, do you agree during the holidays, the holiday season?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I've been fortunate to go during Christmas, especially is really the only holiday that I will, and Halloween too. Halloween. But I think Christmas is the perfect time, to have those memories. I've been fortunate to go with my mom, and we have great memories of sitting and watching the parade and eating a Mickey gingerbread cookie and drinking hot cocoa, and it becomes a tradition. It becomes this tradition in your life that you want to bring back and keep doing. So the holidays are totally the time where if you're looking for some feels, that's the time to go.
Oh, that's awesome. It's funny. We have we have a lot of these Disney books that I'd like to show you guys. My iPad just went down, so we have to recharge the iPad, so I'll be able to show you some things. But until we do that, we were talking about Disney food you had mentioned too.
It just goes to sleep, so turn the power on from the side.
When we were talking about,
The button. It's one of the buttons.
I'm just turning it on right now, you
There's other
guys.
buttons. It's not that one. If that one's not working, yep, keep looking.
Let me see. There it
Alright, just
goes.
swipe up.
I'm just turning it on. One moment. There you go. We're talking about Disney food really quick too because, oh wait, hold on. Let's see. Gina says, before I started going to Disney World with my husband and son, I had not been back to Disney since 1986. So you were a kid. Disney has changed so much since then. Disney didn't even look the same when I went in 2018. How crazy. You went in like in a time warp. And Steven said, I love going to Disney World. I would love to. Isn't that crazy? So yes, and that's another thing that Kristen brought up is that these parks are eternally changing. How did it change, Gina? Because I can't imagine that much of a gap. That's like a 30-year gap or so. It must have been a completely different park. And that's why some of these vintage reels, these movie reels that we're looking at, these news footage reels, show the park the way it used to be. That is crazy. Kristen, you mentioned Disney food, and there's so many Disney cookbooks that are available on Amazon. How does the food also, why is it important to you when you go to the parks? And then what does it evoke memory-wise to you?
Oh, I think the Disney food definitely, it's synonymous. You can only get it there. I've had Dole Whip in other places and it's frozen yogurt places, and it's just not the same as when you're sitting, out front of the Jungle Cruise eating it. Whether it's Dole Whip or even just that Mickey pretzel or the Mickey ice cream bar, you know exactly the type of weather that was happening, why you needed to get it at that certain time. I never get the Mickey ice cream bars when it's cold because they're already frozen. So you immediately plan and start planning your day around the food.
What do you guys think of the Disney food? Steven said, I loved going to Disney World. I would love to go to Disney World at Christmas. Oh, I know. That's another thing too is, the holidays. And let me know what you think of the Disney food. And, that's a perfect segue, Stephen, believe it or not. Let's look at the first item that we have here that Kristen recommended to you guys. I'm going to tell you guys, Kristen, what it is, and then Kristen is going to describe it and why she thinks it's really important for you to know about here on Amazon. Holiday magic at the Disney parks. Celebrations around the world from fall to winter. Now, this is a Disney Editions Deluxe hardcover book. You guys, it is $53, but I think it's because it's a special book, and you can see it right here. Kristen, tell us all about this book.
This is a book that I keep saying I'm going to buy for myself because I really am a fan of the coffee table style books, because Disney is great when it comes to putting out pictures. And I'm a big fan of being able to actually see some of these things that no longer exist. And I've been fortunate to see clips from the book, and they show all of the really bizarre, weird festivals that Disney has celebrated, not just throughout the world, but throughout the decades. They have done holiday tributes to practically any holiday you can imagine. So I love that there's actual photographic evidence of some of these really weird festivals and holiday tributes that they've done over the years. And it's definitely something that I can put on my coffee table and just pick a page and look at it and learn something.
Oh, that's so true, you guys. That is so true. Let me go look at the chat because we missed some chat. It said, Steven said, let me just go ahead because Gina said this after. I love going to Disney World. I would love to go to Disney World at Christmas time. Gina said it was completely different, exclamation point. Sammy is like, guys. And then Gina goes, I go to Disney during Christmas. It was amazing. So yes, I think that it's just such a special time for everybody. And let me show them the book one more time here, Kristen. And so you were saying that, you want to get this book. It's a beautiful coffee table book. Now, this is a hardcover, hardbound book. You guys can see it. And they said that this is a deluxe jacketed hardcover. And it's the visual storytelling of Disney at its best. And you guys, this book has over 1,900 photographs. And 2/3 of them were taken just specifically for this book alone. And it showcases all of Disney's key locations. Oh, holiday menu offerings. Okay, that's it. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. I've got to get this book. I'm obsessed with the Disney food. Tell us, what do you know about Club 33?
I know that it is Disney's most exclusive club. There's a waiting list that spans decades. I want to say Hugh Hefner was a member at one point, or he was on the waiting list. And it's a significant entrance fee to get in, but once you do, you get the opportunity to have access to this beautiful restaurant in the heart of New Orleans Square at Disneyland. That I would love to one day find somebody that has a membership who can take me, because it's on my bucket list and I need to see it just once.
Oh, that's awesome. Stephen has a question for you, Kristen. Stephen said, Kristen, did you ever go to Disney World at Christmas time? That's a good question.
No, we went, I think during the summertime. It was right before Mission Space opened, so it was being built. That gives you a roundabout time frame of when I went. So I did not get to see the holidays. I would love to, though. It's on my list of things to do at some point.
It's definitely. I would love to see it. I haven't seen it either, although I've seen Disneyland several times during the holidays here. And then, let me see. There was another question for you about, thank you so much for bringing this up. I didn't think about this. Gina went on a holiday cruise during Halloween. Oh my goodness, how awesome. We've never even talked about the Disney cruises and that whole thing. I've never been on a Disney cruise. I've always wanted to go. What about you, Kristen? Have you gone, and what do you think about them?
I have never gone. I have my best friend did once, and he praised it and said it was the best time he'd ever had. So
Really?
again, one of many things on my my bucket list to do at some point.
So, Gina, tell us, what was the Disney cruise like? Because both of us, it's on our bucket lists, and we've never had a chance. Gina says Epcot during the holidays also is very special. Around the world menu. Oh, how interesting. So I didn't know that. And what about that brings up a good point, Gina. What about the food festivals in the park? Have you ever attended one, Kristen? What do you think?
No, I haven't. I know that Disneyland was in the midst of one right before they closed because of COVID.
Oh,
So
really?
Yeah, they have one going on right now, right before the park is set to reopen next month. So I'm hoping that once the world is back to normal, that I can partake because I've heard good things. I've heard the food is delicious, so it's definitely gonna happen.
Oh, awesome. If you guys are out there, if anybody out there has gone to any of these food festivals, what do you guys think? And let us know. I accidentally hit one here one time when I was going to a friend of mine, and it was really, really, it was awesome. So, yeah, so we recommend, Kristen recommends Holiday Magic at the Disney parks. This is a celebration around the world from fall to winter. I would assume because that's when the majority, Kristen, is that right? When the majority of the special festivals are going on is during the holiday season?
No, Disney definitely spaces them out. So they have some. I know in Florida they have one in the spring. They have some in the winter time. So they definitely try to give some visitors something special every part of the year.
Oh, that's terrific. And Gina said Disney World during Christmas literally feels so magical. I agree with that. I think that's why it brings people back over and over again, and you're bringing your own, making your own memories with your friends and your family. So, do you always make a point, Kristen, to go during the holiday season? Although, albeit there's crowds everywhere.
Now that I live here, we don't. That was used to be the plan when I had one trip a year to do. Now we try to space it out, go on the weekdays, go when it's not busy. I don't go. I've never gone Christmas week. I tend to avoid the obviously busy seasons. But we did used to go exclusively in the month of December. Now we try to go throughout the year regularly, at least once a month.
Oh, wow. Wow. Stephen was like, yes, it sounds good, Gina. And Gina goes, it makes me feel so happy. Ha ha. Oh, Sammy, just want to stop by. Hi, Sammy. Thank you so much for stopping by this morning. And, as you know, we're talking with Kristen Lopez, and we are talking all things Disney. So if you guys have a question or comment, a suggestion, hey, put something in the chat. Gina, thank you so much. Can you cut and paste something that you want to talk about in regards to Disney? Because we have some awesome Disney items that we want to show you here, too. And here's another one that I want to show you that Kristen picked that she thought that you guys might enjoy. You can find it right here on Amazon. This is Walt Disney, The Triumph of the American Imagination, and the author is Neil Gabler, if you guys want to look for it. So, Kristen, why did you choose this book?
I'm a big fan of trying to learn about Disney himself. And this is a pretty comprehensive biography. There's several Walt bios that you can read. Some are more positive than others. And I think this one does a decent job of balancing the man with the myth, with Disneyland, with the movies. So it's a pretty comprehensive compendium. So if you want to get all facets, you can't really read anything else that I think is gonna tell you more or less.
Oh, thank you. So Kristen said this one, Walt Disney, The Triumph of the American Imagination. You can find it on Kindle here on Amazon for $12.99. It's about $13. Hardcover. Now hardcover is $58.50, but that's good. Paperback is $16.89. The audio CD, I don't understand this, $705.
Wow.
Oh my goodness! But you know what? They said that this book. You're right, Kristen. It is a compendium because it said this book was 7 years in the making. And it was meticulously researched. So Neil Gabler, they said, is the first writer to be given complete access to the Disney archives. So that shows you how extensive a book this is. You can find it right here on Amazon. This is the one, because Kristen said if you really are interested in the man behind the myth and also the man who created Disney, this is the book that she highly recommends. So let me look back in the chat really quick. And Gina, they want to know, did you go to Disney World too? And what did you think of it? So that really brings up a good point because I've done some research on Disney too. And I think like everybody, nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect, including Walt Disney. And also, you know, he was a man of his times. Didn't he die? He passed away in like 1965, 1966.
Yeah.
Yeah, so quite a while back. So I always say it's to look at the positive things that he created and what Disney is doing going forward more so, because if you read some of these biographies, you will see some things that when I read about him, it kind of surprised me, but then I was thinking of who he was germane to the time that he was in. And I think that makes a big difference in the way that you look at it. So yes, we really highly encourage you to read this book. And you guys, let us know what you think. All Thing Disney. Today is an exciting, exciting day. We have Kristen Lopez, and she is a television editor here at IndieWire. And for those of you guys who are just joining, can you tell us a little bit about what you do? What is IndieWire, so they kind of have a background on who you are?
Yeah, I'm a film critic, a television writer. So IndieWire is a big global website. We cover all elements of filmdom and TV news, and I get to look at television specifically with an eye towards diversity and inclusion.
That's terrific. And so that's the person that we're talking to. And, you know, we have another one that I thought, this is another one that Kristen recommended. And, you know, it didn't come up in the conversation earlier. I'm really surprised. I don't think it did. Maybe it did. But let me share the screen with everybody so you could see this. This is, now we chose the 2-disc platinum edition, but this is Peter Pan. Now, this is the Platinum Edition, and it's very famous child Disney star, Bobby Driscoll, who played Peter Pan. And right now, it's priced at just under $40. So tell us about this, and why did you choose this?
You know, Peter Pan is one of those, I think, that most people, for all of its flaws, and it does have several, is really the go-to movie for Disneyland fans because of the connection to Peter Pan's flight, and just the elements of magic to it. I think a lot of people have memories of the magic of Peter Pan. It's obviously been remade several times by different people. So it's a staple. It's a landmark when it comes to Disney love.
What do you guys think of Peter Pan out there? Have you seen it? Tell me, what do you think of it? And, you know, over and over, we hear the term magic, Disney magic, believe in the magic. I've seen tattoos that say that. What is your, because we're not talking about, you know, sleight of hand or, you know, David Copperfield or anything like that. What is your definition, Kristen, of Disney magic, and why do you believe in it?
You know, I think Disney magic is that sense of possibility and wrapped up within this world of comfort and familiarity. You know, that the unpredictable is able to be in a way that is not threatening. You know, I think for me, it really does stem back to, you know, being a disabled woman and being able to be, you know, whoever I want to be at Disneyland. And I think that that's what Disney magic is this comfort and this familiarity, but where something is completely unexpected.
That's a really, really good way to describe it. And I'm going to ask you guys out there too, what is your definition of Disney magic? Gina said, we did the holiday cookie one at Epcot. You get a passport. Let me see. You get a passport book, and at each station, they mark your little passport book like at the airport. And what? Do you get a cookie? Oh my goodness. I don't know if I'll be going to Disney during Christmas anymore because of this current situation. It gets very crowded during Christmas. Yes, it does. It gets very, very crowded. And I'm sure everybody will be going crazy for cookies. So you guys, let me know what your definition of Disney magic is, because I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think that in many ways it's very different for everybody, the definition, but yet in many ways it's very, very similar.
Yeah.
You know, and for people that don't get it, they think we're all Disney nerds and think it's crazy. But for people who do get it, I think that there is this unifying element to the term Disney magic. I don't have any tattoos. I always said if I was going to get a tattoo, it would be something like that, because I so truly believe in it. So, anyways, what do you guys think of the definition of Disney magic is, and what movie do you think resonates that? For Kristen, it's Peter Pan, which I'm showing you guys right now. I'm going to go back to it real quick. This is the Peter Pan 2-disc platinum edition. Why does another movie resonate with you as far as like showing that true magic? For me, a lot of it is the power of the future. I always think that these Disney movies are so hopeful, that there's a lot of hope that's in these movies. And it may not be now, but it's just the excitement of what could be. And to me, that is somehow magical. And whatever your situation is, if you may be feeling a little bit down at the time, you put on one of these Disney movies and there's always that sense of hope, and excitement for the future, no matter what the situation is. And that has always helped me, I think, that I love it for that reason. Here's another one that you chose, and it is kind of an older movie, and I want to know why. So let's show it to everybody, because we had mentioned this one earlier, and I do like this movie. I do like all Disney classics, but it is very germane to the times, and sometimes the ending bothers me, and I'll show it to you guys right now, and then Kristen is going to explain it. This is once again a 2-disc platinum edition. This is, oh wait, let me see what Steven says. Maybe, oh, Steven, that's so sweet. I love this. Steven says, maybe the 4 of us, Kristen, Candace, Gina, and I, should go at Christmas and go to the food festival. We're down for that. You guys, wouldn't that be so awesome? So wait,
Yes.
Steven, where are you located? Because Gina is on the East Coast in New York. And but let us know, Stephen, where are you? Because we would love that. I just love the way Disney builds friendships too. That's another thing. It's just such a big commonality between people. So yeah, Stephen, let us know where you're at. Okay, see, this is Sleeping Beauty. You guys are looking at right now, the 2-disc platinum edition. This is they say it's a special edition and a platinum edition. Hey, you guys, it's on sale right now. The price is $22 so on DVD, but you can also get it Prime Video here on Amazon, Blu-ray, the multi-format, and a VHS. Oh my gosh. Good grief. So you guys, let me know, Kristen, let me know why you chose this for us to see today.
Sleeping Beauty, I think, has one of the most beautiful animations in all of the Disney history. Evan Early's backgrounds are just stunning. It's really a masterclass in the beauty of animation of this period.
And so you chose it, and I agree. And at the very end, when she's singing her song and everything, it is so beautiful. It reminds me a lot of the animation, the hand drawn cells of Snow White. It's got that same feel to it. Gina says, Stephen, for the past 4 years, I was doing Disney during Christmas. Oh, but you were doing Disney World, right? And Stephen, where are you located? So yes, this one is definitely a Disney classic. How do you feel about, and once again, it's a product of its time, that Sleeping Beauty, her main goal was to fall in love with the prince and then get swept away. It doesn't really, with the later Disney movies, the princesses seem to have their own different goals and aspirations of their own in life.
Yeah, Sleeping Beauty actually is the last princess film of the classic era up until I want to say the arrival of The Little Mermaid in the late 1980s. And I think that's because there's only so much you can go with her. Aurora is beautiful, but there's not a whole lot of depth to her. She is really just this conduit for other characters to move around her, which, was kind of the par for the course in the 1950s. As we were dealing with the questions of what women were supposed to be doing. And Disney was, an older guy, so his women were more reflective of this, of the era. But, I think that there's been this kind of reclaiming of Sleeping Beauty and a lot of the pre-1950s princesses, especially with the arrival of the live action films that have really given them more of a modern feminist edge.
What are some of the live action films that you're referring to?
Stuff like Maleficent, which is a new take on Sleeping Beauty, and the 2011 2013 version of Cinderella.
Oh, got it. Okay, let me look right here because I had some more questions in the chat. Um, Gina said, Peter Pan. Peter Pan, my son loves Peter Pan. We love the ride at Magic Kingdom. We love Winnie the Pooh as well. So these are some of the rides that are in Fantasyland. And these are some of the rides that are in Fantasyland that have been there forever, that are staples. I'm just going to take a look at some of the chat right here. We love Winnie the Pooh as well. Who wrote the Coffee Table Disney book? That's a really good question. Let me go ahead and I'm going to go back to it. Kristen, who wrote this Coffee Table book? So we can take a look at it. This is by, okay. So the Coffee Table book, Holiday Magic, you guys are looking at it right now, at the Disney parks. Disney celebrations from around the world from fall to winter. This is a Disney Editions Deluxe. It's a hardcover book. It is by Graham, Graham Allen, Allan. But also the author is Rebecca Klein and Charlie Price. This is a book that I'm definitely going to be getting to as well. So we wanted to show you guys the Disney Coffee Table book. Gina says, that's so true, Kristen. Stephen says, the wonder and characters of Disney and the Walt Disney brand. Hold on, let me see. Of movie making, that's the Disney magic for me. Oh, and he's coming from Wisconsin. That's right. And Gina says, my husband is a pretty conservative, white-collar type of guy. And when he is in Disney, he is literally a different person. We call him Disney Mike because of it. I made him an Instagram account because of all his funny antics that he does while he is there. That's Disney magic. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, and Gina, thank you so much for putting the Disney Magic book in there so we can see. That is what, thank you, Gina, so much for showing us. That's Holiday Magic at the Disney parks, celebrations around the world from fall to winter. Stephen said, I never saw Peter Pan. I saw Hook. Oh, but I saw the live version that was on NBC TV at Christmas. Did anybody else see that? Kristen, did you see that? I didn't see that.
I did not, but I heard about it.
And how was it? Did you guys like it? Everybody else out there?
Yeah, most of the reviews I heard were mixed.
Oh, interesting. I want you guys to know, have you seen this? And Kristen picked this in particular. I don't know what year it is. I'm going to ask you guys what year it is. Let me go ahead and bring it up. Now, you guys, this is, I've heard of it and I know it, The Great Mouse Detective. This is the Mystery in the Mist edition, which is a special edition. One of my favorite actors of all time is in it, Vincent Price. Vincent Price is in it. So you guys, it's on sale right now for $9.49. So you guys have to tell me, Kristen, why did you pick this one?
This is a very underrated movie. I wish there had been a franchise. I think this is just a smart take on Sherlock Holmes with mice. It's got a lot of vim and vigor. Vincent Price, as you mentioned, is the villain. One of the best villains. It's one of the early uses of CGI for the big finale sequence, and it's just a lot of fun. If you are a fan of like British mysteries, this is a great take on that. Only animated.
Oh no! Wait. What year was this? Is this the 80s?
This is 1986.
1986. Have you guys seen this one, The Great Mouse Detective, 1986? You can actually rent it here on Amazon too, on Prime Video for $3.99. So that's a pretty good deal. Blu-ray, multi-format, and once again, it's on VHS. Don't even ask me how. But here it is. You guys, let me know what you think of The Great Mouse Detective. I haven't seen it, but I love Vincent Price. Was Vincent Price used, not to put you on the spot, but do you know if Vincent Price was used in other ways for Disney for voiceover?
No, this was actually a dream of his. He loved Disney. He wanted to voice a character, and this was finally the opportunity. He did, I think, make some TV appearances here and there, but did not work with Disney in the film world after this or before this.
I didn't know that because you guys know that there were so many voice actors that we used kind of over and over. Sterling Holloway being one of them.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the voice of Winnie the Pooh?
Mm-hmm.
And many other character voices. And what's funny is it true? Sometimes I feel like those voices I can hear in the various rides at Disneyland.
Yeah, they did. I know some voice actors did do the ride voices. Not all of them, and you can kind of tell. I think Catherine Beaumont, who is the voice of Alice, does do the voice of Alice in the ride. But I don't believe, it's Bobby Driscoll in the Peter Pan ride. Don't quote me on that though. But that did happen.
That's what I thought. Oh, Toya B, thank you so much for following us. Welcome to Sway TV. And we're talking all things Disney today. We're so excited. We have Kristen Lopez here, and she is one of the television editors at the magazine IndieWire. Huge Disney fan, Disney file, knows everything Disney. So Toya B says she hasn't seen it either. Now, Gina, how cute. Gina, thank you so much for putting this movie in here. It's one of my favorites, and I haven't thought about it. What do you guys think, Kristen? What do you think of Ratatouille?
My brother is a big fan of it. I think it's okay. It's, again, beautifully animated. It's got a very sweet story, but it's never been a movie that's gripped me. I don't have the deep, deep love for it that most people like my brother have for it.
Really? Because Gina said her son loves Ratatouille, and they're making a ride in France at Epcot.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I think Ratatouille is very cute. You guys, Steve and Johnny, what you other people out there, what do you think of the movie Ratatouille? I loved it. I thought it was cute. It's not my all-time favorite, but I definitely love the movie. It's a very sweet movie. Now, so let's go ahead and I have to show you guys this. Gina said they're also making Guardians of Galaxy, another favorite of ours. So once again, that's when the Marvel Universe, blends in with Disney. What did you think of has anybody gone on the Guardians of Galaxy ride yet? I haven't, but that's when they took Tower of Terror and revamped it. Kristen, what do you think of when they take pre-existing rides, like the People Mover, and they turned it into something else? And
I'm of mixed minds about it. In the case of the Tower of Terror, it was not a ride that I went on, but I did love going through the hotel and, doing the queue and all of that and looking at everything. I don't have as, deep a love of Guardians that I want to, go on the ride either. So I do wish they had kept the Hollywood Tower Hotel because there's not a lot of Twilight Zone connections. But I understand the need to keep that IP going, and eventually we're gonna get Avengers Campus. So the times are changing, and I'm trying to roll with them.
Is Avengers Campus going to be a new land similar to Star Wars Land?
Yes, it's going to be a California adventure. It's supposed to open sometime this year, maybe, depending.
Did you guys hear?
So, yeah.
I didn't know about what is supposed to be in there.
There's going to be a ride called Web Slingers. It's a Spider-Man themed ride.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to have be similar to Toy Story Midway Mania in terms of the individual slinging webs and doing capturing stuff. There's supposed to be a lot of food opportunities, not a lot of rides. Allegedly, phase 2 will have a big e-ticket with the Avengers included, but that hasn't been built yet, and I have no idea if COVID has changed those plans. But the land is going to open soon. It is done.
Wow, I didn't even know that. Toya B says Guardians love. Awesome. Gina said they're changing the theme of Splash Mountain in Disney World. That's what Kristen was saying. Stephen said the movie you mentioned, I enjoyed it. Oh, Stephen loved Ratatouille. Gina brought up a good one. I haven't seen this one, but we know somebody who's associated with this movie. The Princess and the Frog. What do you think of that one, you guys? What do you think of that one, Kristen?
That movie is good. It's grown on me. It was a big deal when it came out. Disney's first Black princess, played by Anika Noni Rose, and I think that Tiana is a lot of fun. Again, she has more modern aspirations. She wants to open a restaurant. I do think it gets a little wonky when it starts to interject the actual frog elements to it. Because it takes it away from Tiana's journey, but I do think it is a great example of modernizing the Disney classics. And it is one of the last hand drawn animated 2D features that Disney did.
Really, what year was it?
2009, I think.
So now it's all primarily CGI.
Yeah.
You know a lot about Rescuers Down Under, and I don't know this question, the answer to this question. Maybe you do or somebody else. I loved Rescuers Down Under, which was the second one when they went to Australia. It looks different to me than the hand-drawn original. Is it because was there a CGI component in that movie?
There was, and there was also, it's a very light component more for the action, but if memory serves, that was also because it was a direct to video venture, so they did not use the same high quality animation team as the original film. Also because the animation style in 1976 was so different. We were using computers when that movie came out in the early 90s, so you have this mix of using the CAP system, which was a blending of hand drawn and computer, but you also have that this was originally a smaller direct to video release, so it didn't really require the more expensive resources.
Right. Steven says Princess and the Frog was cool. So I guess there are these, everybody has in their, Disney repertoire, there are certain Disney movies that they've missed for whatever reason. You guys out there, let me know what movies that you've missed. What movies have you missed, Kristen, that you feel like you still need to see?
Oh gosh. I'm still behind on a lot of the live action features as we get, into the even some 90s features, and 80s films. If it's live action, I know I haven't seen all of them. Disney has a lot of subsidiary studios, Touchstone Pictures, Hollywood Pictures. They owned Miramax for a time. So I know I haven't seen everything that Disney's ever released. But when it comes to the animation, I tend to be pretty much having seen everything.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think the most recent films, I haven't seen Raya and the Last Dragon yet, but I'm
Right.
pretty consistent on keeping up on them.
Now, Raya the Last Dragon, which just recently dropped, is that something that would have normally been in the theaters?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Oh, great. Gina says, I work in a middle school special education department and they teach a Disney class. It's all about, oh my goodness, the history of Disney and movies. That was the first time I saw The Princess and the Frog. Stephen said, Kristen, did you ever stay at any of the hotels around Disney World?
When we did our one Disney World trip, we stayed at the Port Orleans Riverside, which was a really interesting hotel. It was not the hotel we were supposed to stay at, but it was a great theming, rustic, beautiful, lush foliage. I was really impressed. Most of the time when I'm here in California, I love the Disneyland Hotel and the Grand California. Those are the two that I tend to vacillate between.
And then you guys out there, if you've stayed at any of the Disney World hotels, which ones do you stay at? I've never stayed at them. I've had the pleasure of seeing. Which is the one where the tram actually goes through it? Is it the Americana?
That's the Contemporary.
The Contemporary. I've been through the Contemporary, but I've actually never stayed at the Contemporary. But there's so many, since I've been there, so many different themed hotels around Disney World, right?
I was muted. Yeah, there's with Florida, there's so many different hotels, and I think that that's the amazing thing is there's a hotel for every price range. There's a hotel for every theme, and you can either be immersed in Disney and have that monorail stop that goes right through, or you can be off the beaten path. I know Port Orleans, you could walk and go through these beautiful gardens. to the park. So it's really, depends on what kind of vacation experience you want.
Right, absolutely. I think that there's something for everybody, and that's what's so nice about it. Now I have to show you this awesome item that you had mentioned. You just touched on it a second ago earlier, but you said you purchased this on Amazon. This is the Disney Pixar Up Countdown Block Calendar. It's $24, and it's Disney Pixar. Explain, what is this?
This one was one I just purchased for myself. Actually, it's behind me. You can't see it, but it's behind me. And it's a nice little wooden block calendar where you have a bunch of little blocks that you can change the days and count down to whatever type of special event you have, whether that's a trip to Disneyland or your birthday or Christmas. And I love being able to have that visual reminder of how close I am to a vacation.
It's so exciting.
It's a lot of fun. I've been playing with it, kind of manipulating the blocks and everything.
Oh, because yes, it says these numbered cubes can be rotated to count down the days, and an event bar. It can be my birthday, Christmas, Paradise Falls, and Disney, depending on which day you're counting down to. Oh, I love it, you guys. This is so cute. It's darling. That is so awesome. Gina says, the monorail in Florida goes through the Contemporary, the Polynesian, and the Grand Floridian. Oh, I guess maybe I saw that. I didn't know. And Stephen is, you really have been to Disney World, haven't you, Gina? That is so interesting. How cool. I had no idea. This is such a cute gift for somebody who loves Disney. This is a cute gift for yourself if you love Disney, which you do, because we're talking about this right now. And this is another item I'm going to show everybody right now that Kristen had touched on earlier that she wanted to talk about too. And we talked about this in music, a musical history of Disneyland. This is the 50th anniversary box set. It's remastered now. This one, y'all, this is for a true aficionado and a true fan, because this one is about $500. And so you really would have to be a true aficionado of the music. What is included in this box set?
This is, unfortunately, it's out of print, which is probably explaining why it's such a high price point. But this was released in honor of the 50th anniversary, and it is a complete compendium, beautifully packaged of the best Disney music, much of it unavailable for people with rides that are no longer there. And it's a great audio journey through the park.
Are some of the songs in there that, like, for example, the People Mover, because it's no longer there anymore?
Yep. I think Adventures Through Inner Space is on there.
Oh, my gosh.
All sorts of things. Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln. There's a lot to listen to.
Oh, wow. So any music buff, any type of Disney file, if you're into Disneyania, this is something for you. This is the musical history of Disneyland, the 50th anniversary. This is a box set. And yes, this is probably the highest ticket item that we're going to show you today. But if you're a true Disney fan, save up, because this is no longer in print anymore. Gina said yes, and Stephen is, wow, dear. Toya said, I haven't been to Disney yet. I feel behind. LOL. You gotta go. Gina said, my home resort is Disney Saratoga Springs. I remember you saying that. Is Springs a nice resort, Gina? Toya goes, I know I'm going, but now is not the time. That's something on your bucket list, though. That's great. Gina says it's a beautiful resort. All Disney resorts are nice. You really can't go wrong with any. So that is a timeshare, right? The Disney also has timeshares like the Sarasota Springs.
They do, yeah. I know they have one in South Carolina. They have a bunch of timeshares. They have one here in California. I am not cool enough to own a timeshare, so I've never been to them, but I'm sure, like all Disney resorts, they're beautiful.
Yes, and Gina just said yes, it is a timeshare. So I'm sure, because even, my favorite is the Grand Californian. I just love that feeling of being in the woods and how you can actually access the park through the back of the hotel. which is
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing that I love about the Grand California is you have that direct entrance into Disney California Adventure, which is a big thing for me. Using a wheelchair, you want to be able to get from A to B quickly, and that cuts out a big part of your trip. It adds to your price point, but small price to pay for convenience.
And actually, that brings up a good point for people that are in wheelchairs. Is Disney fully accessible? Like, how do they go about making like the lines and everything for people who are in wheelchairs and watching this possibly? Can you tell us how easy it is to maneuver through the parks?
It's incredible. Again, I've said it to people before. I don't know of any other location where you can be as free as Disneyland with a wheelchair. In Disneyland, because it's older, they have some rides that the lines are not handicap accessible, and you can go in through the exit. They have a queue system that they utilize there. The California Adventure is all modern because they built it in 2001. So every line is accessible, which, there's some disabled people who, were like, great, now I got to wait in the line with everybody else. But, I think it's amazing that there's, not stairs. Some rides are, of course, you can't utilize them because maybe you're not tall enough. I can't ride certain rides because I don't hit the height requirement. Or there are some rides where they do require you to be able to get up and walk. But that's really few and far between. And some of the contraptions that they've come up with to help you transfer into some of these rides are just astounding. Grizzly River Rapids, which is the rapid ride there, you have to step into the boat, and you figure with a wheelchair, if you can't step, then you obviously can't ride. They actually have, it looks like a step stool type of thing that hooks onto the front of a wheelchair, and then you can slide from that into the raft and climb back out. It's ingenious. I was really shocked that they had this.
Oh, wow. That makes sense because that's a newer ride in California Adventure. And I know that Indiana Jones, I've seen people walk backwards through the exit and so I figured that was some type of a thing where they were going, that's probably right. Like you said, you enter through the exit.
Yeah. I don't ride I'm not able to do kind of the jerky rides, so Indiana Jones is unfortunately off my list. But I know it's one of those rides where if you can at least step into it, you can ride it. And they have a separate entrance for those who can't get through the queue as it is now.
And Pirates too, right? People come in through the exit into the ride.
Yeah, Pirates has an exit queue, and then you wait in the line. That is one that unfortunately does not have the cool little transfer board. So you do have to, in my case, I have to be lifted into and out of the ride by one of my traveling buddies. But again, I mean, they make it as accessible as they can, and in many cases go above and beyond what other theme parks are doing.
Oh, that is awesome. That's really good to know. Yes, let's see. Gina goes, yes, the Grand Californian. And Stephen goes, I may have to put Disney World on my bucket list. Absolutely. Gina says, what is great about Disney is it's accessible to people with disabilities. Kristen, you are you on social? Gina said they have virtual queues for people, so you don't have to, actually wait in the line, and you get a return time. And Stephen goes, you are so sweet, Kristen. Oh, that's so awesome, Stephen. Thank you so much. So I didn't know that too. That's good to know that they have virtual wait times as well.
Yeah.
And that actually brings up a good point, Stephen, for everybody. Which is your favorite, the West Coast or the East Coast, Kristen, and for you guys out there?
I'm partial to the West Coast. It's the park that Walt walked through. He's got his office above the fire station with the light burning. I feel like there's more of a personal connection. But Disney World, I mean, if you're talking about epic on a grand scale, I mean, I want to go back. I want to see the Avatar land. I've heard amazing things about it. A lot has changed since, the one time I went. So I want to try it. I want to look at the accessibility. I want to do all the things. So it's high on my list. Once I'm fully vaccinated and the numbers are low and all of that.
Absolutely. And I think that Disneyland too, what's so nice is you could do it in a day. you know,
Yeah.
whereas some of the other parks, and you guys let me know, especially, you know, Gina, you have been to the other parks on the East Coast. Do you feel like you can get, it's hard, like Epcot, there's that first section where it's all the kind of ride type things. And you go across the lake and it's all those worlds. I feel like those lands alone are a day. So I feel like half the park is one day and it's like it's split down the middle to me. It's like two things in one.
I was told Disney World requires 2 weeks fully in order to get everything and not feel like you're rushing through it. I did a week, and I know I missed a lot of stuff. Disneyland, I'm one of those. I'll do 3 or 4 full days, and that way I can go back and revisit stuff. I can do a day of shopping. You know, I make it so that I'm there to relax. You know, first and foremost. But Disney World, I mean, if you want to relax, you're gonna have to give yourself 3 weeks.
I know, that's the way I feel too. Like, you know, you guys, nobody wants to stress out. And sometimes there are, you know, there are issues, there are crowds, a lot of people, there's a lot of line waiting, you know, there's the heat, the elements. So there's things to consider. Like, no wonder why everybody is so exhausted when they get done with the day of Disneyland. It's for a good reason, right? It's very legitimate. So now I want to show you guys, this is another thing that Kristen picked out for you. You are looking at now, this is the Little Mermaid DVD Moving Platinum Edition. This is a 2-disc set. Now, I guess because it's got a lot of special things on it. It's in high def at 1080p. So you guys, Kristen, tell us, why does this movie so resonate with you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's the first Disney movie that I saw, you know, so that's always going to hold a special place in my heart. And, you know, Ariel is me in many, many ways. I identify with her journey. It's got some great songs, beautiful animation. It is the movie that made me a Disney fan.
Oh, I know. It is awesome. Gina said, ladies, it's been fun. I have to run, make my son lunch. Have a great day. Oh, thank you so much. You guys, we have had such a wonderful, wonderful time today with Kristen Lopez, and she is one of the the editors at IndieWire. Kristen, if people wanted to get a hold of you, to follow you, to learn more about your career, IndieWire, Disney, everything, how would they do that?
Well, you can read my work on IndieWire.com. It's pretty easy to find there. And I am on social. I'm on Twitter at Journeys_film. And I'm also on Instagram at Kristen Lopez 88.
Oh, awesome. And all you awesome people, awesome Disney fans today, thank you so much for tuning in. We had such a wonderful time. So you guys, thank you. And thank you, Kristen, so much for taking the time out this morning and joining us here at Sway TV. I want to thank you guys all for being here today. And you know what? Get ready, because Shay J is going to be coming up pretty soon on the Daily, the Ad Lab with Kathy Stevens. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful, awesome Disney day. Mwah! Bye.
Alright. And then again. Yep.
We're still here. We're still here.
You're off, you're off.
Oh, we off? Thank you, Kristen.
Oh, no, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Oh, it was so awesome. It was so terrific. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for, these were such wonderful suggestions. And now I feel like I have to get that coffee table book.
I know, you and me both. Oh my gosh, we'll have to share it. One of us will have to get it and then just share it with the other person.
I know, definitely. So what I'll do is, as soon as it posts, I'll email you and like in a day and send you the link and everything. You can download it. But gosh, it was so much fun.
Hey, thank you so much. I know Dana was reading our article, and I think she has some follow-up questions. So I'll probably be in touch with you in the next couple of days with more stuff. But thank you so much again for inviting me. This has been a treat.
Fun. I loved it. All right, no, thank you. That's fine. Yeah, and just get in touch with me. Just call me.
Okay,
And,
perfect. I will talk to you soon.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Kristen. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. All right. Let's see, how do I get out of here now? Okay, I'll go this way. That was it's so funny. That's an example of the engagement being super high because of the content, but the numbers being low this morning compared to yesterday when the
Well,
weather
it's
was.
not a problem, it's nothing to do with us, you gotta, totally Amazon.
Okay.
Everybody's down, I sent an email out today, just check your email whenever, everybody's complaining about it, saying, oh no, oh no.
Oh, really? Okay, then I'm supposed to that, because I was like, yesterday, it was like, what was like 75 at one point when Albert was on? But like you said, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it's bad.
I was just like, how strange.
Yeah, again, it's gonna put tomorrow's stream in jeopardy, so I'll have to email you, we'll assume that business as usual, but if this was, if this continues to persist, we would skip it. I'll let you know.
Oh, so you let me know if we skip tomorrow?
Yeah. I'll just put on, we have more streams today and, if nothing clears, sometimes it can clear overnight, but I don't think it's really worth the risk.
What do you mean clearing?
Again, we got 1,100 viewers. So again, if you look at amazon.com/live, my suggestion is, whenever you get a chance during the day, scroll through and look at the viewers of the other, you look at the view counts of all the streams, and if you see.
If they're low?
If you see, well, again, you'll see some that are high, but,
Mhm.
if you see any that are under 10, then something's wrong. And again, it's an algorithm thing. They're, messing with their algorithm. It certainly can be, with any social platform, whenever there's an algorithm change, it can have massive consequences.
Well, will you let me know by today so I know?
Well, yeah, I can only suggest that, look at amazon.com/live, look at the live streams, and, it'll sort of be obvious if it clears or not. So anytime you get during the day, again, I'll let you know if it clears and it gets better, but otherwise, and I'll let you know one way or the other, but right now I'd say it's 50-50 that it clears.
Okay. I'll look later on this afternoon, see if it clears.
Yeah,
And if it, let's touch base later on the day today.
okay.
All right, awesome.
Bye.
Thank you, Mandy. All right, bye. Cloudy.